Hello and welcome back to Podcasting as Praxis. I'm David and my pronouns are he and him.
I'm James and my pronouns are they and them.
I'm Jamie, my pronouns are he and him.
I'm Rob, my pronouns are he and him.
And I'm Alistair, my pronouns are he and him.
And we're here to talk news shit, so we've got some awful and some fun little news nuggets, and then we've got a cursed article, and we also have the return of comment or commentariat. So, yeah, I don't blame you now if you switch off.
Well,
Rob.
the comment or commentariat is going to be easy, because like all the comments are going to be about Putin bad, and all the commentariat is going to be about, hey, nukes are actually okay.
and how they all want to bang Zelensky.
Yes.
Yeah, but is it wide Zelensky?
Not nearly wide enough.
Yeah, so I thought tonight we should talk about some stuff that slipped out, I won't say under the radar, but isn't talked about that much in the last week. So I thought we'd do a little roundup of stuff you might have sensibly or otherwise missed.
It wouldn't be talked about if you're trying to pick it up with radar, because radar doesn't work on news as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, the news is like an F-35 if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucked from inception. Anyway.
Yeah, so first thing I wanted to do is join the next after heirs apparent to the British throne on tour and see how that's going. Specifically...
Are they getting it fucking up them?
Well, I hate it when you just jump straight to the conclusions, but yes. Specifically, William and Kate are doing a tour of the Caribbean. This is not just by accident. It is
their Caribbean.
It is their Caribbean, yes, quite literally, because they are, the second in line to the throne.
The second and third heads of the many-headed Hydra of the royal family.
Yeah, well, no, it's not. It's actually simpler than that.
Officially.
Nah, it's like whenever a monarch dies, the future monarchs have to go on a tour, right? So they're getting it in early, essentially.
No, not quite. This one is specifically designed because if you remember at the end of last year, Barbados declared itself a republic. So the Crown is getting a bit antsy. So they've sent their younger representatives, the younger representatives that are still part of the family after the other ones left because of all the racism, which, went over well in the Caribbean, as you might imagine. So they're there to, shore up the Commonwealth.
How's it going, Rob? How's it going?
Hey guys, I've got a great idea to smooth over all these ruffled relations with the Caribbean. Why don't we send over one of the biggest cunts we can think of?
So let me first give you the usual nauseating spectacle. Here is The Sun. William and Kate dance with locals. Inside the plane the royals use. Kate drinks water from vines in Belize. The Daily Mail. Belize rolls out red carpet.
William and Kate pictured on side of ancient vases as... What the fuck is this?
Welcome to the jungle. Kate wears khaki and a white t-shirt. Seriously, that's the headline in the Mail.
Daily Mail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to an early edition of Comment or Commentaria. So, like I said, that's the nauseating spectacle, and that is, of course, how it is being reported across the land in the UK, because we are a disgusting nation of simps, or I should say you, because I'm not a citizen. So let's...
Not a citizen, just someone who lives far away enough to not have to take anything to do with it, and yet appears on this podcast every week.
You're the real pervert, Rob.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it, right? We're all stuck here. We're here by default. This is not a choice on our part. This is a survival mechanism. But you are basically doing your fucking, Switzerland gold tourism, just kind of slumming it with us like normal islanders, just to kind of get off on it. So, no, we're not having this. We're not having this, Rob. Not at all.
Dutchman is pervert, news at 11.
So let's instead check in with some of the people who actually live there and see how they feel about things. So the first stop of this grand royal tour was to Belize, as I said, where Kate drank from a vine, where instead the first visit they had to...
Was it Jeremy Vine?
It's the social media platform. You wouldn't understand, Jamie.
It's just licking water droplets of Jeremy Vine's back. Yeah.
Oh, oh, that one did real psychic damage to me. Please, no.
So yeah, the first visit they had to a local community there had to be cancelled because the community itself strongly objected to said visit and instead called it colonialism, a slap in the face, and very strenuously objected to the Windsors demanding to land the helicopter without permission in the middle of their football pitch. Because the overlords just want to put
Kate wearing the khaki and the pith helmet probably didn't go over.
Presumably not. No. Although I did see the usual disgusting pictures of them sitting in those like the big wooden chairs where they're carried aloft on like by like the local communities, and they're like clapping.
Litter, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a litter. Thank you. But yeah, the thing that makes it kind of noteworthy is like why they are talking about colonialism is this local community is next door to a conservation charity of which William is the patron, and I've forgotten the name of it, but they have turned over 12,000 acres of what was previously communal land held by and for the local community into private property for conservation. So we're doing enclosure, but for parrots or something.
So colonial not even pet driven, colonial wildlife driven enclosure, essentially.
Yep.
Sounds great. Sounds like David Attenborough would be well on board with that shit.
And presumably, well, he'd also probably be lecturing the natives on how not to have too many children, like the fucking Malthusian prick he is.
Exactly.
So the reason this is especially relevant is, of course, I think there's several lawsuits about this going on at the moment. But this is especially relevant in this instant because I don't think Belize itself, but Jamaica, Antigua and Bermuda, the Bahamas, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia and St. Vincent, and the Grenadines are still all subject to rulings of the Queen's Privy Council, which essentially functions as the Supreme Justicial Court of all these countries. So,
what?
Yeah. That's what the Privy Council does, among other things. Yeah.
Fuck. So, their Supreme Court is Her Majesty and Her Majesty's mates, essentially.
Yeah. I think Michael Gove, among others, is in the Privy Council.
I know. What? Just how are they putting up with that?
Well, they should be. I mean, and that's fortunately because none of them like this situation, and some of them are taking active steps to ameliorate this situation. But we'll get there in but a short moment. Yeah. So after their,
I'm really getting the impression from this that colonialism isn't very good.
Much to think about. So after they did a photo op picking sustainable cocoa, because God love it when those countries get turned into primary producers, and when you just leave them in debt traps and resource extraction traps, it's really good for everybody. They traveled on to the Bahamas, where after a public outcry and a lot of people asking what are we doing, the Bahamian government actually stopped paying, at least for the travel of the two parasites and their large entourage. Because, quite frankly, why should quite a poor country, i.e. the Bahamas, pay for, the Windsors who have more private fortune than the government itself does? And the final bit that I want to spend a bit more time on is they're currently in Jamaica, where I think as we are recording, so this is Tuesday, there are ongoing demonstrations outside the office of the building of the High Commissioner, the UK High Commissioner, where the William and Kate are hiding or staying, as you prefer. And the reason for this is that dozens of local leaders have written for a demand for an apology as well as reparations from the UK for its, long and extensive role in the slave trade. And, I know Britain ended the slave trade, but still they didn't really, and fuck you.
Well, look, Rob, you're forgetting that they started just so that they could end it.
That's true. From this letter, we see no reason to celebrate 70 years of the ascension of your grandmother to the British throne because her leadership and that of her predecessors have perpetuated the greatest human rights tragedy in the history of humankind. I think that's, pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah, no.
Pretty fucking good, that. That is.
Completely uncritical support, comrade. Continue.
Yeah, I should say, by the way, a lot of this stuff I got from at Caribbean News UK, which I didn't know before, but from the looks of it, looks like pretty solid reporting. So shout out to them and go give them a follow if you're interested in, Caribbean politics. The other guy I wanted to mention is one of the people who wrote this letter. He's a attorney and reparations advocate called Bert Samuels. Let me quote him in his words again. About a related topic, Jamaicans were very torn up about Harry and Meghan's issue during their interview with Oprah Winfrey. William needs to speak to that as he comes, and as it were, he should come here with an apology, not just for the slavery, but for the treatment of a black woman who had to be run out of the palace with her husband. That is a strong issue here, and that is a fresh wound. Now, I think none of us on this podcast are fans of Harry and Meghan, not because of the racism, but because of the royal family thing, and because they're now into this weird San Francisco startup culture. But It really is.
They've gone from being UK elite to American elite.
Exactly.
Long the short of it, which is very funny to me that the American, being part of the elite of the US is somehow less racist than the UK, which is not surprising, but I do find it very funny.
Yeah. So, I do think it's interesting that, as Brenda has finally cocked it, or is about to cock it, or, her immortal soul is hovering somewhere, probably right behind you, is
what's this coming in? The government's announced that the government's gonna build an enormous golden throne.
I mean, there are literally. Here's the problem. There already literally is an enormous golden throne. So,
but James, a bigger one, so that they can throw thousands of psychers on it every day.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what happens beneath the palace, do we?
I mean, I like the idea that, where the golden throne is at the moment, I think it's the House of Lords, if I'm remembering correctly. So I am in favor of sacrificing thousands of lords every day to, I'll keep Brenda around for a few years.
I know a good way you could do that.
Classic.
Fuck's sake.
Listener, insert your own joke there.
Basically,
deactivating the Geller field in the House of Lords.
But I mean, apart from anything else, the whole Harry and Meghan thing was obviously just a giant ball of racism. And of course, it stands to reason that the subjects of the Commonwealth who are not white would have quite a strong problem with how that whole affair went down. And if you think about it, when Elizabeth II dies, I think we mentioned this on the pod before, it is not automatically true that Charles becomes the head of the Commonwealth. That is in the gift of the heads of state to give. It's not an automatic right. It's not an inheritance. So I do think that just strategically speaking, apart from the gross racism, it's interesting that they threw out, at least, on appearance's sake, let's put it that way, the most progressive modern couple that the royal household had and is likely to have.
Oh yeah, it's just managing to shoot your entire fucking foot off when you are essentially gifted this PR win, and then just absolutely shit in the bed and forcing your son and his young, I say young, she's older than I am, wife out of the family.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing, right? We're talking about myth in counterworlds which could never exist because, right?
Are we?
If the royal family were the kind who could actually, accept Harry and Meghan and make hay out of that, then they wouldn't need Harry and Meghan to basically go on the tour for them and to do that kind of thing. You follow the contradiction that's at the heart here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Too racist to even do the PR. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, this is the thing. It's in the world in which they could actually make use of them is a world in which they don't need them because they're not racist. There's just nothing else to say.
Yeah. I mean, before we leave this topic, just one more thing, because it was reported in the last 2 hours or so before we started recording, is that according to ITV, who have spoken to some quite senior Jamaican sources, Jamaica has apparently formally begun the procedures to depose the monarch as the head of state and become a republic, and they will start that process formally as soon as Kate and William has fucked off. I do find it both good and cool that they have chosen to leak that they are doing this right at the moment. William and Kate have landed, so good on them, and I hope you may be free soon, as we may all one day be free.
They should have sent Andrew. That would have been much funnier.
No, I think there's a different island he'll be visiting.
Yeah. Will Saint, what? Never mind. Doesn't matter.
He would have been so pissy that he wouldn't have been able to wear like a military uniform anymore. That he wouldn't be allowed.
Oh, you're right, Rob. He would have been. He'd have absolutely he'd have been like, "Oh, you're sending me excellent. I'll look out my very best uniform." And it's like, "Oh, you can't do that anymore." But I want to. And what about my stuffed toys?
Exactly.
Because he's such a precious little boy.
Stuffed toys. Like, just if you needed yet more fucking evidence that the man is absolute fucking danger, like I saw a video the other day of one of his I don't know if it's like an attendant or something from who worked in like his house or whatever. That when they would go somewhere, his many teddy bears, something like 30 or 40 of the fucking things, had to be arranged in a specific order, and the guy was given a photograph in the order that they needed to be arranged on the fucking bed that this guy was going to be staying in for like a few days.
I mean, they're all the same, because like Prince Charles, as I understand it, has a white leather toilet seat that gets taken wherever he goes. And they install it in any of the bathrooms.
That sounds like it's just asking for trouble.
He got given it as a gift, and apparently he's very partial to it. So there's one of his footmen or whatever.
Who the fuck gives someone a white leather toilet seat as a gift? Loki.
I mean, I don't fucking know.
I know what I'm getting you for Christmas, Jamie.
I mean, and the thing is, like, I'm with Jamie on this. It does sound like it's just the grossest thing in the world, and you follow the logic of it through, and cleaning that thing must be an absolute bitch.
You say that as if he doesn't just get given a new one every time it goes for cleaning.
I mean, you never know. Maybe actually.
I mean, Alistair, I do want to make one correction though.
Maybe he just never cleans it.
Oh, I don't want to picture Prince Charles's
formerly white leather toilets.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alistair, I want to issue one slight correction though. Like when Prince Andrew travels, it's not teddy bears. When he travels outside Europe, it's not teddy bears. It's a bed full of gollywogs that also have to be arranged in a very specific order.
What, from like least to most racist?
Well, speaking from least to most racist, shall we have a brief chat about the Tory Spring Conference, which has just been and gone?
Yes, best segue I've heard in a while, Rob.
Oh no.
So this is obviously an obvious attempt to move away from party. It's not. I'm not going to call this shit Partygate anymore because appending gate to everything is fucking stupid. From all the party investigations, and it's a relaunch.
Party, right?
Yeah, it's the Boris relaunches, and specifically into the Brexit future. And we have to leave all this stuff in the past about the parties.
Is this good or bad though? I don't know unless you've appended the word gate to it.
Well, according to Jacob Rees-Mogg, all that stuff is in the past and quote unquote fluff now because
everything's in the fucking past.
But specifically, that's because there's our war on in Ukraine, so we can't talk about the parties anymore. You know,
we love a good war to like quell domestic issues, don't we?
Yeah. Not only that, because there's a war on at the moment. According to Liz Truss, we can't talk about statues and pronouns anymore because we have to be on a war footing. You see, so that's over with you. You know, like
in fairness, we do need more time to concentrate on things like geography. So.
Exactly. Why don't you, shiftly, lazy statue puller, sign up to the International Azov Brigades instead, and then, you can be cool and become a Tory.
See, when she went to Moscow and did cosplay, and the fucking Russian guy just drop kicked her into a skip from 40 paces, was that pronouns or statues?
I think
there's a little bit of both, Jamie.
A bit of column A, a bit of column B.
I have to say, it does actually warm my heart to know that my existence is personally impeding the war effort. Like, it's really genuinely, as a lifelong committed pacifist, it is really good to know that just my existing is in somehow, shape or form impeding NATO aggression.
I was really hoping for a moment you were going to say that as a lifelong living statue enthusiast.
I mean,
Yeah, the reason James is non-binary is because they are just a bust, and like that's it.
Like, listen, I'm trying to work out whether I should be offended by this, because if you've seen the fucking statue guys on Twitter, they're all fash. So, no thank you.
Maybe you just really like Vaporwave.
Oh yeah, like what, a really cool kind of like skeleton metal kind of statue bust thing that's got like weird paint dripped over it. I could actually fuck with that.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
In the meantime, Rishi Sunak managed to soothe an anxious British public, very worried, of course, about the rising cost of living, which we talked about
we're getting
many
like 5p
episodes.
off petrol or some shit.
Yeah, there's going to be probably like
that's my gas bill fucking sorted. Cheers, Rishi.
But the national insurance rises and the higher tax or council tax rises are definitely going to go ahead because, quote unquote, the government cannot solve every problem. That's true. It's only tanks that can do that.
I mean, I don't think that is solve any fucking problems.
Yeah, that is true. Like, they can't solve every problem, but can they solve any?
I mean, they could just try, like, for fun, as a treat. So, like, just see what it feels like to solve one. And the reason we can't do that was, of course, made clear by mega cuck Harry Cole, who followed the Treasury line to the minute, saying, "We have a 2.2 trillion pound debt, and there's a $15 billion pound interest to pay on that this year. Oh no!" Which, by the way, works out to give or take 2.2 to 2.3%, which is lower than inflation. So the value of the debt is going down over time. So it's actually really good that we borrowed all this money, because that means the people who lent us the money are getting hosed, which is funny because it's also us, because it's the Bank of England. Don't worry about it. Also, listen to.
I can hear the gears like very slowly turning in Robert Preston's head.
Yeah. But in the meantime, during this conference, they also did some other things, because Tory Party conference, a spring conference even, is you also have to give some stuff to the psychos who turn up at these things. So they did. Quietly, the Tories ditched a pledge to make it impossible for big game hunters to import their trophies back home to Britain. So, that lion head or that zebra tusk or whatever it is you have, you can still bring it back home and hang it in your mansion.
Oh, good.
Excuse me, a zebra tusk, all right.
I will not be taking questions.
God, we've all learned so much from Jamie in the time that we've been doing this podcast, haven't we?
Yeah,
it's just
I was born to educate.
Yeah, to be fair to Rob, he's just boulderizing there. Just let it go. Anyway, carry on, Rob.
The other thing they did quite quietly as well. Do you remember last year when Owen Patterson and Geoffrey Cox and a whole bunch of other people got caught having like massive paying second jobs that they were not openly corrupt with, but did do some quite venal activity for in the meantime? So do you remember they did a whole song and dance about how they were going to cap, second job earnings and make sure that MPs use their time to actually look after their constituents? Yeah, that's all gone now.
Have they not done that? That's shocking. That who could have foreseen this?
Yeah, but this time they gave a reason. They gave two actually. They said
there's a war on.
Was the reason?
There's a war on in Ukraine.
Was the reason more money for us? Fuck you.
Dear as is, they said, look, it's essentially two things: time and money, and we can't restrict...
more money for us and fuck you.
More money for us and no time for you, right?
Yeah, they said, it's a bit of a paraphrase on my side. They said, look, we can't restrict MPs using their time for, nefarious BAE-related purposes, because you could still do a lot of active harm in very little time. So, like, how would we ban them from using their time?
So, because you could go out and murder someone in literally 5 minutes, there's no point in banning murder.
Yes, pretty much.
I do, right, so the logic of this is basically, okay, so we can't really put a limit on time you can spend on second jobs because, it's a slippery slope. Like, 5 minutes of the PM's time is very valuable and could do a lot of damage. So we just, I guess we just can't do anything about it. Couldn't just ban second jobs entirely. I mean, couldn't say no time.
There's never been anything in law that says anything about like controlling the amount of time that you can work. No directives about time spent on work, like a working time directive. Never been anything like that in history, so impossible.
In terms of control, the best we can hope for is a mug talking about immigration. The other thing that, of course, we can't limit is income. And the specific reason given is, what about all those great books and bestsellers that MPs write?
Oh, is Boris Johnson going to write 73 Virgins?
Close enough. He does have a publisher's advance of £88,000 for an as yet unpublished novel. So if we banned that, we would ban Boris getting paid.
How could the universe continue without Boris's fucking sequel to his tediously racist, boorish book from fucking 2005 or whenever he wrote that shit?
Yeah. Oh, the new one's going to be about like a fucking prime minister that like shags, probably. Do you know what I mean? And the Daily Mail will serialize it.
But essentially, the real reason I wanted to talk about Tory Spring Conference is the following quote from, I think, the closing speech by Tory Party Chair Oliver Dowden. Let me just read you this little bit because it is genuinely amazing. As I walk with my children through the calm suburbia of Hertfordshire, its values so derided by the left, I actually reflect on the great fortune we have to live in a nation defined by stability, security, and yes, conservatism. For me, the privet hedges...
Well, 1 out of 3 ain't bad.
No. This is the money shot. For me,
does he want to live in a nation defined by my foot up his fucking arse? Because that could be arranged.
Imagine a boot going up your arse over and over.
For me, the privet hedges of suburbia are the privet hedges of a free people, and I will make it my mission.
Oh, fuck's sake.
And did those feet in ancient times walk upon England's privet hedge?
Fucking hell.
That's 2 things I wanted to check in on. The third thing I wanted to check on is something that I've wanted to really talk about for a little while. A little check up what our friends in the National Accounting Office have been up to recently. Because what they've been up to...
Yes, is the most exciting people in the country. Let's fucking go.
The only people who are genuinely exciting is they wrote an updated report on the Ajax fighting vehicle.
All right, okay, actually, I'm interested now.
Sound of David's erection hitting the bottom of a desk there. Continue up, let's go.
If you want to catch the full story, you haven't listened to it, episode 84, Tanks for Nothing, is where you want to be. Essentially, this is some follow-up, because there is some amazing bits in it. Because after, a whole bunch of parliamentary questions and newspaper reporting and some podcasts.
Have they unravelled the quantum state of the fucking Ajax yet then? Given that it's like it is both like complete dog shit, but also doesn't exist. Like they haven't finished any. You know what I mean? It's like, theoretically, it oscillates the soldiers into a fucking parallel universe, or at least it would if we'd actually built one. Do you know what I mean?
The best way to answer your question
when they want to test it, what they've actually got is like just a thing, like a false one made out of plywood, and a bunch of guys like running alongside with like fucking like sanders on the side of it to make it vibrate. You know what I mean?
The best way, Jamie, I can answer your question is to say they have found some answers which genuinely only create more questions.
I love those kinds of answers.
So this is the NAO's value for money report on the Ajax fighting vehicle. That's good.
Is it a single word, like beautifully laid out in the middle of an otherwise pristine page?
72-point font on an A5.
They should have gone with the Tesco value Ajax.
Actually, Alistair, I think it's funnier the other way around, like a 9-point font in the middle of this paper, like beautiful heading and all the rest of it, just a word, none, in tiny little lettering right in the middle.
Right, so let me give you, via the NAO, some brief numbers as an introduction. First is more than £10 billion, which is the lifetime cost of the Ajax, of which we have already paid $3.2 billion to General Dynamics, General Dynamics Land Systems, not to be confused with other entities of General Dynamics. 27,
and
which
they've spent that $3.2 billion on a line of coke that stretches twice around the equator, and no actual tank. What what the army thinks is a tank is actually a fucking transit van with a turret, like a plywood turret on the top and octagonal wheels.
It is great that they've managed to spend some massive proportion of an annual NHS budget on something that is less effective than a fucking technical, a Toyota Hilux with a Browning machine gun just stapled onto the fucking top of it.
I'm sorry, but can the average technical cook a fucking very big burger in 90 seconds? But so only when the driver tries to check his email or something. You know what I mean?
What you do, Jamie, is you fire the machine gun for several seconds, and then you place your foodstuffs on top of the barrel, allowing it to cook.
Like the fucking Ajax pulls up, and everyone's goldfish in like a 2-mile radius just suddenly starts melting, and there's steam coming out of the bowl, and some guy running towards the tank, going like, "No, you must not read from the Outlook.com."
Jamie, genuinely, we will in about a moment return to the question of communication and emails on the Ajax.
Well, I've come to the conclusion the Ajax is the perfect popcorn maker when you think about it, because you put a little bit of salt or maybe a little bit of butter in the very top of it, and then you put the corn in the bottom. The microwave will pop the corn, and the vibration will distribute it.
I bet putting butter in it voids the warranty.
Bold of you to presume this thing has a fucking warranty, to be honest.
So there are currently... we will get to the warranties. There are currently...
it's vibrating, and there's just superheated butter coming out through the seams and just fucking killing everyone.
All right, let's briefly talk about the vibration then.
Fuck it, yes, cool.
There's a whole section, by the way, separate in this NAO report specifically dedicated to noise and vibration, which is amazing.
It's just the words "still a problem" just pasted over and over and over again.
Close enough.
Just written out, but really shakily.
It's just the entire section of the report is just the letter M repeated in just several pages worth of just to be real little kind of dadaist situationist kind of writing on it. Love it.
When you think about it, this report is really just a meta text.
Yeah. That whole section's just a link to a fucking seismograph online.
Let me talk you through a little bit of it. The department, I'm quoting from the report, the Department of Defense resumed trials in June 2020, but banned the use of Ajax vehicles in motion from November 2020.
After complaints from the US Geological Survey.
Fucking goddamn! I hate it when a report vindicates the government, but there you go. Fucking statues causing problems for the water effort.
But I mean, not really, because the measurements that were done about vibration on the Ajax were all done with devices installed by General Dynamics. And wouldn't you know, those devices installed by General Dynamics and programmed by General Dynamics found that the General Dynamics made General Dynamics vehicles didn't have any problems.
Generally.
Yeah.
Wow, that's what a weird coincidence.
Let me read you again from the report. The department relied on noise and vibration calculators provided by General Dynamics UK to predict the level of exposure to noise and vibration by different crew members in the Ajax vehicles. Later on,
didn't they say that people could only be in it for 30 seconds at a time because of the noise
20
and
minutes.
vibration?
Yes.
So they gave them rigged calculators, and
yes,
they still came back. They still came back upside down with boobs written on them, because that's basically the gist here.
In January 2020, a different audit not done with these General Dynamics vibration measure things raised concerns that the General Dynamics calculators underestimated the level of noise and vibration.
Well, golly gee, what another weird coincidence. How does this keep happening?
The problem was that the General Dynamics calculators that they put in were actually calibrated to slowly turn throughout their time inside it.
Also, and to use the words of Jamie here, that is a load-bearing underestimated, right?
I just like the idea that, you know what I mean? There's a guy standing there with a fucking, General Dynamics calculator, looking at the Ajax, and like someone next to him's like screaming at full volume, "Is that thing accurate?"
Meanwhile, the Army, an independent group of auditors, and General Dynamics are all conducting their own separate noise tests on the Ajax, despite not knowing the following things: how the different variants, there are going to be 6 variants, will work, and how much they vibrate, because a large number of those. Because of a large number of those variants, 5 out of 6 have still not been delivered to the Army, so we can't test them. We don't know any operational scenarios because we can't drive them.
Those 5 are all like sonic weapons, though, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
And the other thing that none of these 3 audits can know is, let me quote again, root causes of the issues nor potential solutions. Why, do you ask, can they not know that? Well, that's because General Dynamics is refusing to release any test data that it has about the noise and vibration problems. Which is just, it's so good.
I mean, there's a reason they're refusing to release that data, because technically under GDPR it's protected medical data.
See, there you go. So currently, because of all the vibration and noise, there are 27 limitations on the use of Ajax vehicles. 22 are related to safety and 11 are critical to operational capability. There are also a further 136 concerns about these vehicles. But among these 27 use limitations are, let me quote again from the report, no enclosed operation of the vehicle, i.e. you can't put the hatch down, no night driving, no heavy items to be stored on the roof, no discharging of the weapon system other than the cannon, and no storage or carriage of munitions. None of those things are currently possible with the Ajax.
Excellent.
Would it be easier for them to list the things that the Ajax can do?
Much easier, yeah. It didn't actually mention it there, but the other thing that you can't do is actually use it in World of Tanks because it breaks the physics engine.
Fantastically, these, like, the noise and the vibration are the main problems, but what I didn't know yet, and what we do know now, thanks to this amazing report, it has some other problems apart from the noise, the vibration, and the turret that doesn't generally seem to work very well. Let me read you again from the report. The department's requirements have, in effect, made the creation of the Ajax a bespoke technology which is much more complex than other armored vehicles. The Ajax was highly...
Oh, fucking hell.
The Ajax was highly specified with about 1,200 capability requirements for each of the 6 vehicle types. However, the department...
Wait, 1,200 each?
Yes.
So, like,
yes.
7,000 odd specifications in total?
Across 6 variants, yes. And let me, as a treat, let me talk you through some of the issues with the subsystems that it has. Let me quote again. The department is planning to enhance Ajax's digital capacity through the delivery of the Morpheus program.
Also, Morpheus wants you to get in his microwave.
Each Ajax comes with a red pill and a blue pill, and if you want to die immediately, just eat them both.
Actually, being in an Ajax is a lot like being shook awake from the Matrix.
And you'll be happy to know, by the way, that the Morpheus communications program is also partly supplied by General Dynamics. And in a shocking twist, this program has had significant cost increases and is running at least 3 years late. The Ajax will now not have the full level of enhanced digital capability until new radios are delivered under this program. And if you're wondering what those improved communications could be, well, the Ajax is supposed to be able to communicate and connect to another fan favorite, the F-35 Lightning.
Two great tastes that taste great together.
Like peanut butter and dog shit.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering what on earth are they going to do in the meantime, well, the Army does have the existing Bowman's communication system. However, the Army doesn't have enough of them, so they can't put one on every Ajax tank as it comes online. So some of them are just going to be, I don't know, they'll get some carrier pigeons or something when they've run out of communication.
I love to have the logistical issues of the Russian Imperial Army during World War I. What the fuck?
The ones without radios could just paint huge signs with all the paint they're stirring.
Yeah, each one of these, each Ajax is going to be distributed to like B&Qs and home bases across the country.
Just at the end of their military service, they're all going to end up like outside a fucking Tesco, and kids can have a go on them for 50p. You know what I mean?
It's going to be like, solution.
Your toddlers being unruly, just put them in the liquefier.
Well, this thing is going to come out as like, solution and problem. Solution: the paint is incredibly well stirred. Problem: it's about the temperature of magma by the time it moves.
Look, actually, have they considered painting these up to look like Thomas the Tank Engine?
Look, having these things, like putting them outside the big Tesco or having them cosplay as Thomas the Tank Engine might not be the worst way to get some of our money back, because according to the report, the operational ammunition for the special gun that doesn't fit very well won't be available until 2023 anyway. So even if we got the tanks, we can't shoot anything properly with them anyway.
I mean, what were they going to fucking hit realistically?
I mean, you're not going to hit anything anyway because...
The resonant frequency of everyone within a 200-foot radius.
I mean, look.
It'd be like fucking Wanted. The bullet comes out and just curves through the air.
Presupposing that like the crew survives the night in the haunted tank, that's not going to be a big problem anyway, because the simulators on which they're supposed to train to shoot the special ammunition, which we don't have, those simulators are also late because the contractor that was going to put them on the building site has decided to pull out. So there's no facility. Not only is there no facility to train the shaken crews on, they also can't be trained because the army currently doesn't have enough trainers to do the training on the simulators, which aren't in place.
This is
less effective than a Toyota Hilux.
This is all so stupid. Like, I'm sorry, I know like we're enjoying it, but at the same time, it's like, I am a pacifist, but even I can understand that the strength of the military is you have a lot of generic equipment with interchangeable parts.
So you could say generic people, frankly.
Well, no,
all carbon copies of one another.
You get a lot of generic equipment with a lot of interchangeable parts that
but there's
essentially
no money in that.
But I mean, it's basic kind of stuff, and then you have highly specialized tools for particular circumstances that don't try to be cost saving all rounders. So you want a good tank, a good APC, a good recon vehicle, a good dogfight, fighter, a good bomber, etc.
You're forgetting about the shareholders, though.
I don't understand how.
I like the idea. I like the idea that they haven't got any simulators for this. Like, they've got a simulator that, simulates the interior of the vehicle, but it's too heavy to get back up the 40 flights of stairs. They've got to push it down to, get the experience.
Yeah, they could always just simulate it by putting soldiers in, a big barrel and throwing them off the Niagara Falls.
Mm. Yeah. It's like it's like when, when they filmed Apollo 13 in, 10-second, bursts, because that was all the, zero G you could get in that, plane.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like that, you can only be simulated in the time it takes to be kicked down like a fucking hillside covered in stones. Do you know what I mean?
And if you, James, I understand your frustration, and if you were wondering why the army didn't catch any of this stuff while it was in 20 odd years of development, essentially that's because
they weren't hunting for it.
No, because there was literally nobody around to look. Again, from the report, the senior responsible owner, which is essentially the project manager of the whole fucking thing, originally was allocated 10% of his or her time to the total Ajax project, while also overseeing two other massive army programs with more massive problems, the Boxer and Challenger, which we haven't talked about, may do in the future. So, there was one guy overseeing all of this.
What?
Yes. And they only had initially 10% of their time, budgeted to look after the Ajax.
So you can spend, on a 40-hour week, you can spend 4 hours trying to fix the fucking Ajax.
Less than an hour a day.
Yeah. And look, I am saying, look, there is a senior responsible person, but they also do have a staff, or they should. Let me read you again from the report. In 2016, 6 of the 8 posts were vacant, and the department rated the program's skill and capabilities as amber/red. Those are not the good colors. By April 2019, it had filled these vacancies to manage the contract renegotiation in 2018, but by then had reduced its own resources at a time when the program was missing various milestones. In July 2020, the Program Management Office had dropped to 4 posts instead of 8, and the responsible owner, so that the overseer, had amended the program's capability for monitoring development of the Ajax from amber/green to amber/red. Again, those are not the good colors. And if you think maybe it's just it's the one guy who's in charge and this desk of 8 people or 4 where everybody was in amber red. Don't worry, there was also a board of oversight composing of the Army, General Dynamics, and another like the Department of Defense, Engineering, and something or other bureau. Let me read you again. In September 2020, when the I don't know what to call it, the Army Innovation Office had already commissioned the Institute of Naval Medicine to investigate concerns about noise and vibration issues, the board of the Ajax did not discuss this issue and was instead told that the program was, quote unquote, at an exciting stage.
So called because of the way it excites anybody that is placed within the vehicle.
Yeah. Exciting in the chemical sense.
This report verifies what we said in episode 84. This thing has just been a fuck up from top to bottom, like end to end, and General Dynamics is going to keep making money off this thing because in the meantime, and we talked about it on some earlier pods, the latest National Security Review or the National Strategy Review makes it extremely clear that, like, in the much reduced army of the UK that's going to exist in the next decade or 2 decades, the Ajax is the absolute core component of any of its land fighting capacity, along with the Boxer and the Challenger, which have its own massive problems.
So the fulcrum upon which the entire UK military strategy resides on is vibrating ominously and vigorously. Yes.
Isn't it amazing?
Good.
Is this just a great country?
I mean, it's impressive to see the ideological commitment from the Tories to pare back the British state in all aspects that it's possible to pare it back, inclusive of the military, to such a point that we are able to make so much fucking hay out of the stupidest tank I've ever heard of.
Yeah, thank you at least for giving us so much great content.
Yeah, 10 billion well spent, really, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keeps us 5 dipshits in work.
I know, that's it. Next time, just wire the money straight to us.
Yeah.
Yes.
You'll get a lot more podcasts and just as much working tank. So there's that, you know what I mean? I'm gonna start a defense contractor because for 10 billion you could buy like a shitload of technicals and hire a team of guys to run alongside, like rocking it from side to side as it drives. You know what I mean? Occasionally, just like blast an air horn in through the driver's window.
Yeah. A job that Jamie reserves for himself.
Yeah.
See, no, I think Jamie needs to, subcontract it in participation to produce like noise metal, essentially to fulfill that part. Like, think like a real capitalist here.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I bet it, like the first fucking like noise artist to sample the Ajax is just going to be able to retire off the proceeds of that album. Assuming their tape recorder doesn't fucking melt.
So I thought for today's article read, like I said, we talked quite a bit about supply chains and energy crisis, and I think what we've done a bit too much is talk
this
about.
Better not be about the fucking gas prices again, or I swear to God, I'm going to spend my Tuesday nights at the WI instead.
It's not. I think we've spent too much time talking about the problem, and I have an article for you from Bloomberg about the solutions. What you can do in this difficult time.
No. No.
Yes.
Just no.
Yes.
Right, no. Right.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
This is violence.
Yes.
Yes.
I already know how to wear socks, so Bloomberg can go fuck themselves, quite frankly.
Yes, I too own and sometimes wear a jumper.
Yeah.
I too have accepted that life is just going to be hard sometimes. I too recognise we live in the best of all possible worlds, so I should shut up and just stop whining about it.
Yes.
Yep.
You should also accept the fact that you're on this podcast and this reading is happening.
Yes. So this comes courtesy of Bloomberg Opinion. It's written by Teresa Ghilarducci. She's a professor of economics.
Do you want to just fuck off to the WI with us, James? if we leave now, we can probably get there before Mavis has finished all the cake.
Article reads if we're quick.
Yeah.
Inflation stings most if you earn less than $300,000. Here's how to deal.
Oh, ooh, okay. That is a strong start.
Subtitle: More Americans than ever expect their finances to worsen as inflation hits high. Do you really need that extra car? Question mark.
Do you really have that extra car? Question mark.
Define extra. I just.
In America, like, no cars are extra. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Also, like, I physically curled in on myself at that line. Like, I'm not joking. I recoiled my arms to my chest. My knees kind of came up towards me. I pulled my just physically.
James turned into a ball at the sound of that.
James reflexively doing the Dark Souls roll to get away from the fucking episode.
Elden Ring roll, I'll have you know, but yes.
Oh, they're just getting in the spirit of it. That's how you keep yourself warm.
Yes.
I assume the fetal position.
Live next door to an Ajax.
If your income is more than $289,000 a year, the run-up in gas prices may be alarming, but it's unlikely to hammer your overall finances.
How much fucking petrol would you have to be buying? I assume that's the American use of the word gas, right?
Yeah. After all, Americans at that level spend no more than 1% of their money, of their take-home money on gas and oil, according to statistics. Blah, blah, blah. There's some statistics. Jamie and James Fio won't bore you with the statistics because we talked about them.
Hang on. Sorry, right. Hang on. Run that figure by me again, Rob.
1%.
No, the one before it.
If your income is more than $289,000 a year, the run-up in gas prices may be alarming, but it's unlikely to hammer your overall finances. After all,
So your typical American, they're thinking, spends about $2,890 a year on gas.
Yes.
Fucking hell.
I mean, yeah, that sounds about right for America, right?
Yeah, I know. Just fuck. Anyway, carry on.
Like in America, like a small family car just for doing the groceries in is like one of the fucking towns from Mortal Engines. Driving the Ford Stoke-on-Trent down to the fucking Walmart.
Right, she does some statistic stuff and essentially says if you're earning over $290K a year, you pay 1% of your income on gas and a certain percentage on food. However, if you earn less than that, then your percentage spent on food and fuel is higher because you don't have so much disposable income. Blah blah blah. That's fairly standard stuff.
Hey Siri, what is fixed outgoings?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
It's the rise of the machines. You buffoon. You idiot fucker moron.
Hey Siri, what are your pronouns?
The most recent barometer of consumer sentiment showed the highest ever share of Americans expecting their finances to worsen in the coming year. This is good because it's an election year for the Democrats. I expect that those most affected will adjust to inflation in the classic way, by shifting away from relatively expensive items towards substitutes. So, here are some ideas to reconfigure your consumption and lessen the blow. But again, adjustment is hard for people without savings or choices. So,
do you know what it is? All of these articles about how to manage your money better in response to fucking capitalism's like slow decline, they're all just like literally someone sent in a fucking letter to Viz once saying how, like, you know, during the remember when they had like we had all the protests when petrol went over £1 for the first time when Blair was in charge. Yeah. Someone sent a letter into Viz saying, oh, there's all this like brouhaha about like the fucking cost of petrol, but it never affects me because I always just put a tenner's worth in. That's literally like what these fucking articles just all boil down to.
First, you have to know your budget to control your budget. Budgeting takes effort, but it gives you power. And that power is even more important in inflationary times.
Yeah, it's super strength.
Yeah.
Honestly, just the
No
fucking...
no one wants to talk about it, but every accountant can lift a car over their head.
There's like a cold fury that runs through me whenever one of these just completely detached lunatics starts talking about what it means to try and budget your life when, like, someone who is, particularly in America, and more and more so in the UK every fucking day, working 2, 3, 4 jobs and not making enough money to pay for, and like increasingly not making enough money to pay for any of the shit that is absolutely essential for them to survive, like food, heating, energy, etc.
Alistair, have you even considered just eating less?
Oh, we're going to get to eating less. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I know, but what about the article, Rob?
To deal with high gas prices, it's worth reconsidering public transport if it's an option where you live. Fares are up about 8% compared to almost 40% for gasoline. It's fine.
Like a problem, like a more so a problem in the US of the fact that there is literally no fucking infrastructure, like, to get anywhere, hence everyone driving cars. And also a problem in the fucking UK if you don't live anywhere that's even vaguely urbanized. You
can just say
because
in London.
Buses come.
Yeah. But it's also,
I mean, to be fair, like, Manchester's like not terrible by the sounds of things, but anyway, like, a bus that comes once every Tuesday and only goes one way. I love that
by the sound of things, because none of us have ventured to the wild, like, frontiers of Manchester.
No,
they have
we
trams
fear the
there.
king in the north, etc.
Having said,
yeah, exactly right. But like, I read on, for work the other day, I was reading about someone posting online saying that basically they can no longer rely on public transport to get them home at night.
Yeah.
Like, the public transport is that inconsistent and that shit that they can be dumped like 12 miles away from home or whatever, and it's just like, no, suck it up. So effectively, there is no public transport.
Has Elon Musk got a solution for them?
I mean, James, the reason, like, you can't get local transport anymore, if you remember a couple months ago, it's because bus drivers are the overseers of the police now. So they're really busy overseeing that, the cops stop raping people. Because we were told that if, you're being chased by the cops, you need to flag down a bus driver. So they're all overseeing the Met at the moment. That's why you can't get a bus at night.
Also,
Rob,
public transport's being phased out in favour of the Brexit railgun.
Yeah, also, Rob, I'm not joking, you took a year off my life with that one.
Yeah.
I can't describe how withered I was in response to that.
Yeah.
Pray continue.
Now may even be the time to sell your car. It certainly isn't the time to buy a new or used one. Prices have stabilized a bit, but used car prices are up.
That car you used to get to fucking work, why don't you sell that shit?
Now may be the time to find this guy's address and then use your car to encourage him to dig a moat around his property. When
it comes to food, don't be afraid to explore. Prices for meat.
Eat the rich.
Have you considered eating plain ramen?
Yeah, if you buy a 20 fucking ton bag of like pasta and then just eat the dry pasta off the floor like an animal, you piece of shit, that'll last you a good while.
Meat prices have increased from February 2021 and will go up even more this year. Though your palate may not be used to it, tasty meat substitutes include vegetables.
Who does this?
I'm just punching a big fucking like pie chart at the moment, just saying that the highest earners consume the largest amounts of meat.
But have they considered vegetables?
I have heard of a vegetable.
Have you considered? Have you pondered the vegetable orb?
I'm surprised they didn't go with the good old classic. Lentils are a healthy substitute for actual food kind of line.
Sadly not, James, because here comes the parentheses. Vegetables, parentheses, where prices are up a little over 4%, or lentils and beans, which are up about 9%. So your replacement is much more expensive. Woohoo!
So what exactly are we meant to eat in this scenario? Is it just any vegetable we can pull out of the cold earth with our bare hands?
Our dignity.
Trees?
Develop 3 additional stomachs and become a ruminant.
Yeah. Have you ever checked out the nutritional value of bark? Because I'm pretty sure there'll be more than one dipshit on YouTube who has, and will tell you about it at great length.
Technically, you can willow bark. You can do stuff with, but
there'll be some. Yeah, but you're going to get into a fight on YouTube with like an incredibly like fucking like red-faced like Hulk guy who just chews his way through an oak every week or something like that. You know what I mean? His YouTube channel like fucking humanbeaver.com or some shit. Built himself a house in the wilderness, and for a mere $2,000, he'll tell you the secrets of like how to eat a tree.
Yeah, it's a gingerbread house for the 21st century.
That's right.
Plan to cut out the middle creature and consume plants directly. It's more efficient, healthier, and a cheaper way to get calories.
Who's eating food indirectly?
If you feed grain to animals to eat
be
the
fair,
animal.
I don't know about anyone else, but I only eat a cow so that I can taste grass vicariously. Every time I pass a field, I just curse the lack of stomachs in my frail human body. You know what I mean?
Fun fact: I think it's either springbok or zebra. I can't remember which one of them, but the grass it eats actually does flavour the meat.
The zebra's the one with the horns, right?
Yes. Tusks.
And stay away from buying in bulk. You usually don't save any money by buying more. Sure, there may be great deals, but most consumers wind up falling for the tricks that entice them to spend more. Things like offering free samples, which often lead to impulse buying, or placing discounted big-ticket items near the entrance. See, because you fucking pop, you might go in for a kilo of rice, but, because you're stupid, will be easily seduced by spinning lights and little things.
I'm reminded of that kid who tried to buy like a PS4 when they were new by putting it through on the self-checkout.
Yeah, that kid was a modern day Blackbeard, quite frankly. I fucking absolutely salute their you know what I mean? Quite frankly,
entrepreneurial spirit,
fucking attitude towards rules.
Typical. I mean, here's the thing, though. Typical hubris of youth. Like, if they just stopped at one, they'd have got away. Victimless, perfect crime. Maybe they went back and tried it again for a second one, and that's when they nabbed them. So,
if you must absolutely buy in bulk, try to do it with a friend, so you can split some of the costs and ensure everything gets eaten or used. So, join our Patreon so we can all buy a big bag of rice together.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right? One of you runs through the fucking vegetable aisle, like just with her arms out, tipping everything out of the fucking shelves onto the floor, and the second one just goes along shoveling it into their mouth like Pac-Man.
What they basically said there is Haprils for pure animal survival form nascent communes to work together in order to secure food sources.
Hunt for bargains in packs.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be great if it incidentally just created the People's Commune of New York City or some shit, and then they're like, oh no, not like that.
Toss a coin to decide which one of you hunts and which one of you gathers.
always get gathering, I want to get hunting.
Yeah. Some guy correctly calls heads on the coin flip and then just opens up on Walmart with a fucking Uzi. You know what I mean? Just spraying cornflakes all over the fucking place for his mate to pick up.
Aside from being more thoughtful about purchases, it's also prudent to think about unnecessary charges. So
don't buy a cornflake net. Those things are a fucking sham.
If you're one of many Americans who became a new pet owner during the pandemic, you might want to rethink those costly pet medical needs. It may sound harsh, but researchers actually don't...
Eat your pet.
Kill
eat
your
your
dog.
pet. Eat your pet.
Kill
no,
your
you
dog
have no
for
idea where this is going.
Is it go and kill your dog for capitalism?
Close.
Then I have some idea of where it's going.
It may sound harsh, but researchers don't actually recommend pet chemotherapy, which can cost up to $10,000 for ethical reasons. So, just let the dog die.
What, they don't recommend it for ethical reasons, or it costs $10,000 for ethical reasons?
Yes.
Oh dear.
Looking forward to the updated Who Let the Dog Die.
Coping with inflation could mean drastic actions or small ones. There are lots of ways people can duck and dance around relative price
Preferably
changes.
the more drastic ones.
What you want to do is make the pet work for you. Train it to fetch cornflakes. Cut the amount of gathering needed.
Yeah.
Create an agrarian society from the ground up, and that way you can become your own feudal lord.
Oh, I'm sorry, the podcast's over now. Like, I'm just picturing Americans hunting cornflakes with an Uzi, and that's it. That's me for the night. The most American thing I can think of.
I could just see you with like a trained flock of seagulls that just bring you crisps all day long.
No, Jamie, the most American thing is Tony the Tiger firing back.
Got his little fucking neckerchief wrapped around his head like Rambo.
They drew first blood.
It's castle doctrine.
Begun the cereal wars have.
Oh, fuck's sake. Oh.
I mean, I don't know who'd win out of Tony the Tiger and the Honey Monster.
Do they even have the honey monster in like America? Because the honey monster seems uniquely British to me for some reason.
He dare not set foot on the same aisle as Gritty, or the conflict that would unfold would end the world.
Yeah. The Americans probably have something that resembles Sugar Puffs, but like the mascot on the box is David Blaine or some shit.
Oh. David Blaine getting into a run-and-gun armed conflict in the cereal aisle to protect his cornflakes is now imprinted on my head.
Just making the bullets disappear.
He doesn't have a gun, but he just walks up and produces a bullet wound from behind your ear. Everyone complains that his marauders he's killing off are paid actors.
Oh, fuck's sake. Oh, Rob, please fucking end this article. I can't deal with
End it in a hail of gunfire, ideally.
David Blaine strapped to the front of the doof wagon.
Who do you think would win? Who do you think would win in a fight though between David Blaine and the cornflakes chicken?
It depends who's most heavily armed, surely. Oh.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics found people in recessions hold off on buying cars, furniture, and appliances. Though they don't cut back on travel, they do cut back on restaurants. Try to be as flexible and creative as possible. Scientists tell us our brain plasticity will improve by trying novel things.
Being poor is good for your brain.
What everyone
you
wants
heard it here first,
is
everyone.
a plasticine brain. You know what I mean?
I don't know, I feel like my brain's turned to plasticine thinking about David fucking Blaine, like, magicking death from on high on aisle 5.
Yeah, see, that's just another advantage of your brain plasticity improving, James.
Clean up on aisle 5, David Blaine is dead. David Blaine is dead on aisle 5. Where did he go?
Try enough new things and you turn into Morph, and then Tony Hart tries to fuck you.
There's an advantage to mixing up what you consume to cope with unusual price spikes, : You become more resilient as you create a locus of control and interrogate your habits.
Locus of control
sounds
like the fortified compound you build on the cereal aisle once you've established dominance.
Well, where else are you going to interrogate your habits? Establishing like cornflake Guantanamo Bay.
Playing the fucking "It's Gonna Taste Great" track over and over.
Just waterboarding the Rice Krispie mascot.
creating an
Sentence.
extrajudicial zone in the freezer section. Like Tony the tiger is placid inside.
I think we may have actually killed Rob.
If we don't finish this article, I'm going to sentence all of you to dry Weetabix.
No, that was the end. But that was the end, by the way. This is it.
Oh, thank fuck.
Right, so remember, if you're experiencing poverty this year, it's fine. You will have increased brain plasticity, a locus of control, and ruthlessly interrogated habits. So you too will become an ubermensch in the cereal aisle.
Learn how to fight and kill David Blaine and you will never go hungry.
Over the tannoy, Ubermensch in the cereal aisle.
Wait, shall we round this off then with some comment or commentary?
Yeah, sure.
Because you're all enjoying this far too much, and I need to bring you back down to misery. It's hard to see how beliefs that Britain is endemically racist, that the white majority are bearers of white privilege/supremacy, and black minorities are victims of oppression, or that every cultural achievement is the direct product of heinous historical crimes will improve the lives of many minorities. But we can see that the ideological commitment to institutional racism, scare quotes, has been instrumental in creating a new elite managerial caste of illiberal, scare quote, active anti-racists. Comment or commentary?
Commentary.
Rod Liddle.
That's
Commentary. Rod Liddle or one of that crowd?
I don't think it's Rob Liddle. I think it's commentary.
It's the Times,
Observer?
I think. It's something in the Times. It's not Alison Pearson, but it's that crowd.
That was commentary, and it was Alka Segel Cuthbert in the Daily Express in an article titled Kenny Badenoch is right, Britain isn't racist.
What the fuck was this? What was this prick's name again? I want to see if he's got a blue fucking surname.
He does.
Wikipedia.
He does.
Alka Segel Cuthbert.
Segel.
Which bit of that was the surname?
Segel Cuthbert.
You see, Jamie, when you reach a certain level of poshness, all the names are surnames.
Yeah.
So what was his name? Like Alfred Sigheil Cuthbert or something like that. It's like,
Yes, exactly. Yes,
and we're expected to take his opinions seriously, are we?
yes. Next one. I went to uni and got a PhD out of Tony Blair.
Commentary.
My dad, who was always cleverer than me, was refused a private school because of his background and went to a state school in the 50s aimed at launching people solely into blue-collar work. I think I prefer the old Labour way. It allows meritocracy. It allows aspiration. It allows the clever to rise above their station. That's why Tories hate it. Comment or commentary?
Comment.
Yeah, I'm feeling comment.
Giles Corran.
Right, okay. No, that was a comment in the BBC News website. Next one. The real power in a democracy comes from its people. And the more we know, the more powerful we are. The suppression of voices only leads to conspiracy, distrust, and division.
Fuck off.
Joe Rogan may have his reasons for avoiding a Trump interview. And Trump may not even agree to appear on the show, but it would be good for America. Comment or commentary?
Circus performer.
Commentary. That is incredible. Joe Rogan, you need to get Trump on your show.
Oh, give me a moment. Fucking hell, I saw stars from that.
It's commentariat because I read this somewhere, I think, but I can't remember.
I was going to say commentariat. Yeah, just
that was
fuck me. That was a turn.
That was Meghan McCain in the Daily Mail, in an article titled "I'm no fan of Donald Trump, but I want Joe Rogan to interview the ex-president because the cancel culture mob was losing mind, and that's reason enough for me," says Meghan McCain. The Daily Mail.
I'm a fan of Donald Trump, but
yes, yeah.
I'm no fan of Donald Trump, but I cried alongside Pickle Rick at my father's funeral.
All right, last one. I feel like a coward for pulling the plug without explanation on more than 30 years of friendship. but in my own small way.
Wow, so it's a very weird way to say that you killed your friend when they were in.
It's better than that. It's better than that.
Is Toby Young writing again? Is he?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I know that implies they were friends. I feel like a killer for pulling the plug without explanation on more than 30 years of friendship, but in my own small way, I also feel that I had to take a stand in Putin's propaganda war. Comment of commentary.
Oh, fucking hell.
I think that stakes almost feel small enough to just be a comment.
Is this Louise Mensch?
Is she even 30 years old?
I feel like it's comment.
I think it's I think this is commentariat.
This is commentariat. This was Anne Penketh in The Guardian in an article titled "Freezing out my Russian friend is the only way I can fight Putin's propaganda."
Jesus Christ.
And expressly, by the way, the article purely is based on I had to unfriend someone because they kept posting pro-Putin stuff. This is me fighting back against pro-Putin stuff. That was literally it. That was the whole article. Peak Guardian. But yeah. That's
sure.
what we have. So that's that. That's us. We should be streaming fairly regularly-ish. Thursdays may be an issue for the next couple of weeks. Just keep an eye on it. We'll tweet when we won't be on. We have a lot of stuff to record coming up. Yeah, Rob's fucking off for 6 weeks, so we're having to get some content done in advance of that.
Yeah.
Also, just be aware there will be a holiday for the rest of us coming up. Rob's away for 6 weeks. We're going to take 2 weeks off round about Easter, so just be prepared for that. We will still have some content coming out throughout that. Patrons, do not worry. Bonus content will continue to come. But yeah.
So when's the last recording before Rob goes on holiday? So I know when I'm allowed to bring in games.
just wait for David to wheel in my television.
Yeah.
Right, and then you'll know you're good.
Yeah, exactly.
All the information is in the spreadsheet you love looking at, Jamie.
What spreadsheet?
Yeah, well,
I've never seen a fucking spreadsheet. I don't even know what a spreadsheet is. Prove it in court, bitch.
You need one for your brain elasticity, Jamie.
Oh, fuck's sake. Right, let's end it there. We've got the streams on twitch.tv/PraxisCast Mondays and some Thursdays for now, but then regularly Thursdays after. And catch us at patreon.com/PraxisCast. £5 a month gets you one bonus episode a month plus early access to episodes of Black Thoughts. We still do not have a store for merch. No one is asking, but if you were going to ask, don't. We know we're working on it eventually. And we will catch you all on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Catch you later.